Hello everyone. As I'm a teacher, I would love to be able to address students because that's what I'm used to doing. And I'd like to start out by telling them how surprised I am. I am stunned to be in this position. I'm stunned to be here today because really, when I was in your position as student at the school, I would not have predicted that I would be a possible recipient of this award. Because I was not a good girl. I was not the kind of girl that was held up as an example. And just to give you a little sense of the kind of girl I was, I'll tell you a little anecdote. The Birla Science Museum that is next door to the school, that existed then too. And one year when I was in class 10, they had an inter-school science competition. And the team selected to represent Modern High consisted of Mrs. Prasad. Oh yeah, she teaches history now, but she used to do science then. Mrs. Prasad, Sharmila Bose, and me. And the idea was we had to master the science that was on display at the museum. And so this involved going there a few times, to learn what was on display and to learn the science behind it. And then, as now, there was a wall between our school and the museum. We were neighbors. And so I felt that I had the perfect solution as to how to get there. We were going to climb the wall. And I could see that the teachers were, of a certain age and they were dressed in saris, but I felt this was a minor detail that they can take care of. They did not agree. My teammates giggled. The teachers emphatically did not agree. And so the way we did travel in the end was the 3 girls and 1 teacher were driven the quarter of a block up Amirali Avenue and the further quarter of a block up Guru Shodai Road in a great huge number 5 school bus. That was what the school thought was appropriate. And so as you can see, there was a divergence of opinion between me and the school. And that is why I am surprised to be here, and mostly I am very moved to see that the school recognizes this different way of being a girl. And that really is what I value most in what Modern High has given me, and that is what I'm most grateful for and what I'd like to talk to you about today. You see, I've done mathematics and science for most of my life, and when you're a professional in these fields, you are surrounded by men. Indeed, in many fields, you are surrounded by men, and even in fields that are not the sciences, as you go up the ranks of organizations, there are mostly men. Even at home, there are certain decisions that are made by men, and you keep saying that there is this perception that you are not supposed to be good at certain things. And after I left Modern High, I continued to do maths and science, but people would tell me that I wasn't supposed to be good at it. And at first, it didn't register. And then I started to notice that this was coming at me from lots of different places. And then I started to get a bit worried. Really? I'm not supposed to be good at this stuff? Because I'm a girl? And then I looked down at my work, and my response was, oops, too late. Because I was already good at it. And that's what Modern High had done. It had made me good at the things that I wanted to be good at, without having me for one instant worry about the fact I was a girl, or that I was not supposed to be good at this, or that the world thought differently. And that's what it's doing for you. You're not thinking about it at all, because you are surrounded by people just like you, and you're just doing the things that you love to do, and that's how it should be. But later on, you will be faced with the same nonsense that I was faced with. People telling you that you are not good at this and that because you're female. I wish you didn't have to face it, but I'm almost sure you will. I'm sorry about that. But what your school is doing for you is it's giving you the tools to deal with that. Because like me, you laugh at it. You'll flick it away. Because you have evidence that it's nonsense. When you look around you, the girl who writes that compelling Bengali essay, she's not a boy, but she writes beautifully. The person who does that marvelous physics experiment, well, that's a girl. The person who wins the long jump, that's a girl. And the person who does that beautiful satin stitch embroidery on a white handkerchief, that's also a girl. What the school gives you every day, every hour, are the myriad wonderful different ways of being a girl. That's what Modern High celebrates. That's what it gave to me. And that is what I cherish. In a few years, you will think about it and you will cherish it too. Oh, and by the way, the next time you see Mrs. Prasad, tell her congrats. Because you know that inter-school science competition that I was telling you about? So we had to go through several rounds of that. And there we got to the final. And the final was between us and St. Xavier's. Oh yeah, you know St. Xavier's. Yes, us versus St. Xavier's School for Boys, the final round of a science competition. And guess who won? Oh yeah, it was all those three people who weren't supposed to be good at this stuff because they were girls. We won. You tell Mrs. Prasad congrats. So it's events like this that shape us. It's the adults that we grow up with who shape us. And I am fortunate to have been taught by the wonderful people at Modern High. They turned me into a student. They gave me art. They gave me music. They gave me a love language, 2 languages. And I'd like to recognize 2 of them today. And they are Mrs. Malik, who taught me maths in classes 7 and 8, and Mrs. Bagchi, who was my class 10 English teacher, but I also worked with her very closely when we were doing the Shakespeare play. We were doing Midsummer Night's Dream in class 9. And these 2 people were fundamental in helping me get through those teenage years. And I remember them frequently and fondly. And I should tell you before I go much further that they had something in common, which was they were both widely considered to be dragons. If you displeased them, you would hear about it. And their voices carried, and the windows rattled, and the whole school heard about it, and possibly the people in Goriahat Market also heard about it, though I didn't test that. But underneath this stern exterior, they had a perceptiveness and a patience that allowed them to see in me not just a stubborn child, which some teachers might have thought I was, not a person who simply lacked decorum. I did lack decorum. I was that wall jumping girl. But they saw a potential. They saw a young person trying to come to terms with her spirit and trying to understand who she is and trying to experiment with different ways of being her, which is really what many of us are doing at these teenage years. You in class 9, 10, 11, 12, that's where you're trying to come to terms with who you are. Right? What is it that you think without other people telling you? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want from the world? What do you have to contribute? You're trying to understand these things, and it's a difficult period. And those 2 people had a strength and a calmness that was a steadying influence on this often turbulent young person. And they found the way to draw out of me the best that was in me. They understood my way of being a girl. And for that, I will always be grateful. And I accept this award today in their honor. In gratitude to them and also to all of you, girls, teachers, the governance of this wonderful school that keep it vibrant and energetic and outward looking, that give the students and me so much to cherish, thank you for once again, decades later, out of the blue, giving me yet another thing to cherish.